to become that more vocal leader?
No, I've always been vocal.
Oh, you have been?
Yeah, I was always the kind that, I'll come up to you and put my arm around you and just say what I need to say to you. But now I have to be the presence out there, cheering everybody on, telling everybody to go hard, making sure I zone in on knowing all the plays so I can tell people to make sure they're in position and just holding them accountable. The standard that I hold myself at, I'm just making sure that I hold everybody else at that standard, but I have to set the example before I do that.
Tina, the biggest evolution it seemed out of your offense, biggest evolution you saw out of your game last year was the three-point shot, it seemed like, and being able to use that so effectively. Do you see further evolving of that? Is there something else that you see as sort of the number one thing that you want to add to your game this year?
Just driving to the basket more, just being more aggressive, just wanting the contact more so, just being more physical. I think that's something that I'm just zoning in right now. Three-pointers, they're going to open up. I'm not going to force anything. As people say, I know where I make my money, and that's inside. So I'm just going to keep trying to be as dominant as I can down there. But if the situation is there, I'm definitely going to take it.
Is that just a question of efficiency over volume when you're trying to think about the way to attack the basket, or is that just about where you are most comfortable at this point in your career?
Just being more comfortable with my left hand, working on that a lot. I got back from China in January, so I was able to be in the gym with Spoon and just work on my ball handling skills, driving to the basket, different finishes around the basket, going baseline when I'm at the post. So just little things that I'm just trying to add to my repertoire.
I remember this time last year we asked you about the postseason. You said you were still thinking about losing. Do you still think about that one-game playoff this year? And what's your sentiment coming into training camp now?
Yeah, you definitely think about, the way things ended, playing against Phoenix, knowing that we beat them a couple of times throughout the season. But if it was anybody that you don't want to play in the playoffs is Phoenix. They have Diana, they have BG. Diana's going to lock in, and that definitely hurt us. But I'm just moving past that and just focusing on the team that we have here. How can I serve them? How can I make them better? And just keep harping on the little things that we're gonna need at the end of the season.
Coach mentioned that he'd like to try to pick up the pace a little bit this year, and he thought with the shooters that you guys have added, you may be able to score some more points. What do you think about the additions and how it could impact the offense?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think just more than anything, just being able to have Piff at the start of the season, that's going to help us tremendously. And she's a great shooter. You have Shug, who's always, in the gym. You're adding Bria Hartley. Brittany Boyd's been working on her shot, and Rebecca Allen at the same time. So just having them just filling the lanes and just having myself when Stokes gets back and Kia Vaughn being able to run the floor hard, we're definitely looking for easy transition points. If you don't have to set up an offense, why do that? Just try to get as many easy baskets as you can.
Have you been particularly impressed by any of the rookies this year?
Oh, yeah, all of them. I think jumps out to me is Ivy from Florida State. She's just always in the right place at the right time. She knows all the plays. You have just all of them. You have Kai from Florida State as well, being very dominant, very big down low. Amherst from Ohio State, and I can name everybody. Nayo from Canada. I think we have a great group. Not because I didn't name anybody doesn't mean they're not in front of my head. People that I name are just actually standing right in front of me. But we have a great group. Everybody's being very competitive. Everybody's coachable. It's a great locker room, great atmosphere, and that's all you can ask.
Tina, a lot of the offensive struggles last year seem to come down to turnovers. Do you think that pushing the pace is going to be a helpful thing to try and reduce those, or do you think it's something where you just have more possession so you're able to hide them a little more?
No, I think you want to control the things that you can't control, and that's turnovers, limiting people to get into the free throw line, rebounding. So all those little things, boxing out, is things that we need to limit in order for us to win basketball games. I think it just comes full circle altogether. There's a bunch of little things that we can take care of, that we can grow from. We have much more experience. We have a lot of years under our belt. A bunch of us has been to the playoffs. We know what it feels like to lose, so we want to get that winning feeling and just get the New York Liberty back where they were back in the day.
He was very happy to be here with you to talk to me about it a little bit. How's it feel on your side to have it?
It feels great. I've been going up against her since I was 12, so I'm happy I don't have to guard her anymore. Same thing with Epiphany Prince. We grew up, playing all the street tournaments you can think of in New York. So I was a big fan, of her and just wanted her to come back home again. Just playing alongside of her, helping her in any way that I can, knowing that she's very dominant. She's going to run the floor hard. She's going to do all the little things. When it comes to setting screens, pick and roll action, just thinking of her with Shavante Zellis and Epiphany Prince. So I'm really happy she's here, and she's been acclimating very well.
Coach Lambier said that he did a little of the triangle offense last season. He wants to do even a little more this year. Do you have any thoughts on that offense, and
I think whatever Bill and Herb Williams and Katie Smith, whatever they want us to do, I'm all for it. You know, they've been at that championship level. They know what it takes to win. They have great experience. So whatever they want to do, I'm all for it. You know, I'm not opposed to anything that Bill wants to do. So I'm just going to, you know, trust what they want to do. I'm going to lead the way, and everyone else will follow.
Tina, when you think in terms of your goal as a team for this year, when you guys finish third, you end up, because of the current playoff format, in a one-game playoff. Is top two, therefore, the goal in your mind to be able to make sure that you're rewarded for your season?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Being top, something funny?
Sorry. No, it's.
No, I want to laugh. Let me know what's funny. Was it the way I answered your question?
No.
You want me to say something different about the triangle?
No, it was his question. That was.
About the triangle?
Yeah.
You trying to get something in with the Knicks or something? We don't do that over here, man. We family over here, dude. We don't do that over here, man. I just want to laugh if you're going to laugh.
We've had a long
Okay. All right, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So we were just talking in terms of top two as a potential goal for. Yeah.
I'm from New York. I'm the New Yorker. I'm going to call you out. Go ahead, though.
The top two, is that the team goal when you think about it with this playoff format, to be able to avoid a one-game playoff after you guys had the kind of season you had last year, didn't even get to experience a 3 or 5 game series with that advantage?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's what made our league so competitive last year, because everyone was gunning for the top 2 positions, knowing that you're going to get a bye, an automatic bid. So yeah, if it was up to me, I would love the best out of 3, best out of 5 series, but we're not going to use it as an excuse at all. I'm just going to use it as motivation and just keep plucking away to get into the top 2 for sure.
And just specifically to this season, there's been a ton of talk about Washington. You guys have built in a very different way. You've built with defense first. What do you think about the way they've built their team, and do you think that offense first is an approach that can win in this league?
I have no concern for any other team but the New York Liberty. Drops mic. Right there and there. No other concern. No other concern. Sorry.
Tim, you were extremely disappointed the way the season ended last year. I remember the press conference. Have you just cast that aside, or will you use that for motivation?
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, a bunch of us, returners was in that position, and we have that bad taste in our mouth, and so we're just looking forward, like I said earlier. We're just gonna focus on the first game. Looking forward to playing against the 2 teams in Connecticut, playing against somebody else other than ourselves, and just start there and just focus on games in front of us. That's all.
Other than LA, which clearly is a chance, would it be fair to say, being at Deladon, being that she went to Washington, would that make that the team to beat in your conference? I know you feel like you guys clearly are better than them, but would it be fair to say they're the team you got to overcome in the conference?
Again, my focus has only been on the New York Liberty. Yeah. I haven't focused on anybody else. This league has great players. I'm not just going to single out one individual player. So my focus is, just playing against the team we play against in Connecticut and going from there. I have no other concern with any other team.
And so,
about that, you alluded to the history of the New York Liberty and where this team is trying to get, and to really get beyond where the franchise has just kind of, talk about how that plays into your leadership style and what happens in the locker room.
Yeah, for sure. I think Teresa Weatherspoon, seeing her every day, I think that's something that's a reminder. Just what the legacy she was able to uphold being here. And a bunch of the players always comes back to our games and supports us. So of course, you want to get MSG rocking again. I was a big fan. I came to those games back in the 90s. So for sure, we want to get back to that platform that they were on. And that starts with being, in the top 2, getting a bye, and just working every single day, the little things. You have one of the most dedicated fans in New York. You see that with the Knicks, you see that with the Rangers, you see that with us. So we trust they're going to come out and support us. But more importantly, we're just trying to get that level back.
So is there like a teachable moment when you kind of teach the folks that are not from New York what New York swag is about? Like, how does that go down?
It just starts with Bill, just valuing every possession on the court, just me more so implementing everything that he wants, me just echoing everything that he wants done, pushing the ball in transition, making sure the wings get up and down the court, making sure that myself and Kia Vaughn get down the court and get easy buckets. So all those little things I just keep trying to echo so it could be easier for us.
You mentioned your left hand was something that you were working on. Is there anything else that you worked on specifically in the off season?
Again, just ball handling skills, just driving to the basket, just my shot, just little things like that. Just trying to still be more efficient with my hook shots and things like that. But all the stuff that you guys already know and see.
Tina, you talked about ball handling skills. You had added the 3 last year in a fundamental way. Are you looking to evolve in a way that bigs are evolving throughout this league? Are you responding to that? Or is this, you think, a natural evolution that you yourself would have come to anyway?
Yeah, I think it's more so just natural what myself would have came to anyway. I love my position. I love what I'm able to do for myself, for my teammates, and for other teams that I've been on. But more so, I just want to get better. I think teams get better when individuals get better. So I feel like I'm not a completed player as yet. I think there's always something that I can work on, and ball handling was one of my focus.
And I guess the last question, to jumping off of what Mark said previously, your focus is on the Liberty, but when you think about the Knicks, is there the New Yorker in you that thinks about sort of the ways in which they could get better? And have you given any thoughts of the way in which you would build that team if you had a chance?
I really have no comment. I'm not going to – I love my job, so I'm just going to say no comment. I think that's the best way.
Thank you, Tina.
So, yeah.